All right, folks, welcome in. Welcome back to another brand new edition of the 901 Soccer Podcast. I'm your host, Lawrence Dockery. You can find me on Twitter at LDoc93. You can find the 901 Soccer Podcast on Twitter at 901 Soccer Pod. You can find Bluff City Media on Twitter at Bluff City_media. You can find us on Facebook. Just search 901 Soccer and we'll pop right up. Just search Bluff City Media and we'll pop right up. And of course, as ever, if you're watching this on YouTube, please make sure to like the video, please comment on the video, and please make sure to subscribe to the Bluff City Media YouTube channel. It is football season, so we've got football content. Obviously, we got plenty of soccer content for you. And then once basketball season fires up, we'll have plenty of basketball content. So if there is a topic in the Memphis sports world that you are interested in, this is the place to be for it. So that being said, what we're going to talk about to you tonight is Memphis Tigers soccer. It's our weekly recap show, recap/look ahead, if you want to call it that. We're going to talk men's soccer first, and then we're going to talk women's soccer. Not a whole lot to discuss for either team. And I say that I'm really tired, and it's gotten a little bit late. I've had a lot to do this week, so I'm getting to this, but this is not going to be a super in-depth show tonight. But we'll start with the men's team and get that out of the way. We are 8 games into the season now. They've got 1 win, 4 losses, and 3 draws. They can't score goals. They're not doing a particular job at keeping the ball out of the net. Coming into the season, Coach Mulrooney had said, reload and not rebuild. And the strength of this team was going to be the locker room. And so far, those have not proven to be the case, unfortunately. Which is really a shame because this is a program on the men's side that had serious momentum coming into the season. NCAA tournament appearance in 2022, NCAA tournament win in 2023, AAC regular season title and conference tournament hosting rights in 2024. This is a high point historically for this program. And so when, Coach Mulrooney says, reload, not rebuild, we're going to have a really strong locker room on the back of those last 3 years of accomplishments, it's like, wow, like we're in the golden era of this program right now. And this is not a golden era. If there was, this year, if there is a golden era, shall not be included in the golden era. It's been rough, and it brings up the question: is it time to panic? I think it's time to panic. You can go back to the last show, I think was before the Tennessee game. And I said, hey, everybody, calm down. It's okay. Rough start, no doubt. But if you can go back to that show and you look, I say the formula for success for the U.S. men's national team and World Cup qualifying forever was take care of business at home and get draws on the road. And at the time of the recording of that show, they had dropped a home game, but then they had bounced back and they beat Mercer. And they had played 3 road games and they got draws in all 3 of them. Those games were at Lipscomb, who beat you last year, at Evansville, who was an NCAA tournament team, and then a draw at Jacksonville. But they got the draws on the road part right. They can't quite figure out the winning at home part. They lost at home to Belmont. They beat Mercer, but they lost to Florida Gulf Coast, and now they've lost to FIU. And then they went on the road and lost to North Carolina, but I'm not going to hold that too terribly against them. That's not one that really anybody expected them to win because that's North Carolina, and that's on the road. I would have liked to have seen it be a little bit closer than 3-0. I'm sure Coach Mulrooney would have as well. But I'm not going to be able to sit here and tell you the sky is falling because they went on the road and lost to North Carolina. That's one that everybody, when before the season starts, you like to, take your pen and go through the schedule and just play wins and losses. And that's one that you would probably put on there as a loss. That I think that doesn't say anything negative about Memphis. That just speaks to the quality of the program that North Carolina has built. Not as much on their men's side as on their women's side, understandably, but They have been to like 19 of the last 20 NCAA tournaments. They've got 2 national titles, 9 College Cup appearances. So, like, it's a very successful, historic program. But it's the home losses that have been the killer. And I said, look, if they can get on track, win the home games, and keep getting draws on the road, that's how the U.S. men's national team got to the World Cup a million times, and that's how Memphis will get into the NCAA tournament. And I said, if we get to the end of the non-conference schedule and it still looks like this, then it's time to panic. Well, we're at the end of the non-conference schedule, and it still looks like that, so I don't think we have any choice but to panic. Now, hopefully the coaching staff and the players don't do that, but we're fans and media, and we have the ability and, quite frankly, the right to do that. It's not just that they're not getting the results, it's how it looks. You know, it was concerning early in the season, and it really crystallized for me in that Florida Gulf Coast game. I don't know that there's a lot of trust between goalkeepers and defenders. And the Florida Gulf Coast game it was concerning to me because Philip Sabati had been named to a number of preseason awards watch lists, right? All whatever second, third team all conference, goalkeeper of the year, that sort of thing. And some of the decision making from Philip Sabati concerned me greatly. If I've said it once, I've said it 100 times. When you are the goalkeeper, please go up and catch the ball. Do not knock the ball down to your feet, because if you have the ball in your hands up here, they cannot score. If you knock the ball down here to where the attacker's foot is, they can score. And that was an alarming, concerning trend from Philip Sabati in goal, and it's one where one of the youth coaches at DeSoto FC down here in South Haven, a guy named Charlie Baldwin, used to be the coach for the men's team at Northwest Mississippi Community College for a number of years. At the youth level, it drives him crazy and this is a thing that is, I think, unique to boys. I don't see this in girls' games. And I think that is proof positive of that is Abby Kudla for Coach Monaghan's team. She goes up and catches the ball, and it stays in her hands until she throws it to a teammate. Not the case with Philip Sabati. And it really crystallized for me in that Florida Gulf Coast game. And it was kind of a comedy of errors. Like if you had been a neutral, it might have been amusing to you, but it was not good. And I think that Florida Gulf Coast game might have broken this team's brain because they had played very well. They were very clearly the better team for 43 minutes of that game, with maybe 1 or 2 close chances for Florida Gulf Coast, and then Philip Spotty goes down, and he's got the ball in his hands. And this is where we come to, I don't know that there's a lot of trust between goalkeeper and defenders. He's got the ball. He's on the ground. He's got the ball in his hand. Defender, for whatever reason, kicks the ball out of his hands. Attacker kicks it into the goal right before the half, 1-1. You've been visited by the ghost of Tim Mulqueen's past. The 901 FC fans will know what I'm talking about. It seemed like every game for Memphis 901 FC in 2019, they found a way to give up a goal right before the half and right at the end of the game. You could set your watch by it. It was like clockwork. And they've been in free fall basically since giving up that goal. 2 really simple, easy goals for Florida Gulf Coast in the second half of that game that should not have happened, or at least not the way that they did. So that led to some lineup changes, and Burkle is in goal now, Jacob Burkle. That sort of paid immediate dividends as they got a clean sheet on the road in Jacksonville, but then they lost 1-0 at home to FIU, and most recently now 3-0 to North Carolina. So the communication between goalkeeper and defenders has been a problem. It's also, I mean, I feel for Coach Mulrooney, man. I really do. I mean, whatever buttons there are to push, he's pushed them, and it hasn't worked. It's not a fun place to be. I mean, he said it after in the post game after the FIU game. He's like, "Look, when we're winning, the lineup stays the same. Makes complete sense to me. When we're winning, the lineup stays the same. And if we're drawing and we're losing and we're not playing well, goalkeeping spot's open. Midfield is open. Strikers are open. Got to figure something out. That all makes sense to me. The concern is when you've pushed all of those buttons and nothing has changed. It leaves you wondering, are there any more buttons to push? And then you have to wonder, is this really it? So we are now we have officially hit the panic button, and we are in win the conference tournament mode, because unless they win their next 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, win 7 straight to close out the regular season, and then probably have to win 2, at least 1 in the conference, so 8 straight. And I don't think Memphis is going to get into the NCAA tournament with a 9-4-3 record. I just don't think that's happened, because the burden of proofs for athletic programs at the University of Memphis, for whatever reason, is just much higher than it is for everybody else in the country, rightly or wrongly, mostly wrongly. They could win 7 in a row, 8, 9, and then lose in the conference tournament final, and that would get you 9 win, 10-4, 10-5-3. I don't see it happening. So you need to win the conference tournament to get into the NCAA tournament, which is a bummer. It's a downer, man. And I don't know what the solution is, or if there is one. I'm sure Coach Mulroney is asking the same questions. It's not a fun place to be, guys. It's really not. 1 win in 8 games, and another problem is they can't score. Goal scoring is a real problem for this team. And when you have a combination of questionable goalkeeping / defending and the inability to score goals, that typically equals disaster. And I think it's not disaster yet. It's panic time right now. It's not disaster until you get to the end of the season and you're 5 games under 500. That's disaster. I earnestly hope we do not get there. But thus far this year, I have 43 minutes of the Florida Gulf Coast game and maybe the Mercer game are all that we have to really hang our hats on that it can get better. But 1 goal against Lipscomb, shutout against Belmont, 2 goals against Mercer, 1 goal against Evansville, 1 goal against Florida Gulf Coast, shutout against Jacksonville, shutout against FIU, shutout against North Carolina. That's 3 straight games being held scoreless. Your last goal was in the first half of the Florida Gulf Coast game. So let's do some quick math here. So you got 90 times 3, 270 plus 45 is 315 plus another 3. So you're at 318 minutes without a goal. That's a long time. So you've played 8 games and you've scored multiple goals once, and you've been held scoreless 1, 2, 3, basically half your games you're not scoring. Combine that with shoddy defending or shoddy goalkeeping or both, and that adds up to 1 win in 8 games. Can it get better? Yes, I think it can. It wasn't quite this level last year, but remember, last year they did get off to a dreadful start. There are no two ways about it. Last year's start was bad, but they got into conference play and they flipped a switch and they won the AAC regular season title and got to host the conference tournament. They're still, they've only played 1 conference game this year, so that can definitely still happen. Sitting and when the best thing that you can hope for is to flip a switch, like kind of like the U.S. men's national team right now, where for 3 years we've been like, we need to be building towards the 2026 World Cup. And, September of, 9 months away, you would hope that you'd be rounding into that form where you could feel good about the World Cup. And now we're at a point where we just need to hope they do awesome at the World Cup, because we haven't seen anything from them for the last 3 years to suggest that they will do awesome at the World Cup. I mean, I guess that's kind of where we are with this team. You could road draw against Lipscomb. Cool. Home loss to Belmont. Well, that sucks, but bounce back the next week against Mercer. Draw at Evansville. And then you get to a loss against Florida Gulf Coast, and it's like, we might just need to hope that they get hot at the right time and win the conference tournament again. Like, we're just going to have to hope that a switch gets flipped. And that's not a super positive place to be. And I hope they do, because I want more games to cover. I would like to cover the conference tournament, because I didn't get to do that last year because of my regular job. I had to miss the actual Memphis game and was only able to attend the final. That didn't include Memphis, which was very strange to be covering a soccer game on the U of M campus that the U of M was not involved in. I understand that's how you have to do it, but it was just odd. But I was impressed at the number, I think, of the FIU and Charlotte fans that did show up, which I don't remember which. I'd have to go back and scroll through the tweets, but I don't remember who it was. But one of those groups of fans was utterly clueless when it came to the laws of the game, and more clueless than usual. Like, it was bad. But anyway, they'll be back at home on Saturday, the 27th against Tulsa. In between now and then, they're on the road at UAB. Birmingham was a house of horrors for 901 FC. May they rest in peace. Though I did go to a 901 FC game at Protective Stadium in Birmingham last year, and they won 3-0. So let's hope whatever good vibes from Birmingham that 901 FC picked up, that when they departed, they passed along to the programs at the University of Memphis. On the flip side, you have the women's soccer team, and I have completely botched the process here. Apologies. There we go. Holy mackerel. Like I said, I'm tired and it's late. It's been a long week, and it's what is this, Wednesday? So apologies for the technical issues there. It's much more operator error than anything else. But the Memphis women's team. So it's almost it's like a tale of two cities between the men's program and the women's program. And whereas, I think we all had the men's team has underperformed their expectations, or my expectations for them. I think the women's team has overperformed my expectations for them, because look, we've said it, I don't know how many times, but this is the youngest team Brooks Monaghan's ever had, and he's been here a quarter century plus. This is year 26 for Brooks Monaghan, and this is the youngest team. It's one senior, two juniors, and everybody else is a baby. And so you kind of thought, man, it's a lot of young players, and you don't doubt the talent, because it's Brooks Monaghan, and there's a very high standard for that women's program, and it's one of those ones you just like, whoever Brooks is going to bring in, you just like, they're probably pretty good because Brooks has brought them in, because you can't not be pretty good to play for this team. And you knew that, but you've never played college soccer before. It's a step up. It's different. That's fine. There's not anything wrong with that. That's just the reality of it. That's not just unique to women's soccer. It's the same in the men's side. It's the same in basketball. It's the same in football. Maybe not so much in basketball, but definitely in football, with one or two exceptions. And I'm sure it's the same for baseball, softball, whatever. So you did kind of expect, I don't know if step back is the right word, but the last several years they've been flying high. And I think maybe we just expected them to fly high and not high, if that makes sense. And they're flying high right now. Like what your expectations normally would be. I think they've even surpassed those to this point. Still a lot of soccer left. But right now, they are looking good. Just about every test that's been put in front of them, they have passed. I would say the UT Martin game, if you're grading on strictly pass-fail, they won the game, they passed. But Coach Monaghan was not happy with that performance, and I'm sure the players were not happy with that performance. You scored 20 seconds into the game and then had 14 corners and couldn't put one of them in the goal. That was a really frustrating game. That's a game that you probably should have won by more than 1-0. But you were coming off the back of the game of the century against Tennessee, and you had 2,200 people show up at that game, and you went toe-to-toe with the number 2 team in the country and could have and maybe should have won that game. I know after the game they said, the Coach Monaghan and the players both said, we felt like we should have won that game. And there was enough that happened in that game where I can feel like, you can go back and watch it and go, yeah, they could have won that game. I think they probably should have won that game. Ashley Henderson gets a penalty in the first half, doesn't score. You get a shout for a penalty in the second half, but you had Tennessee under a lot of pressure. Tennessee had you under a lot of pressure, and you handled it very, very, very well. So the next game against UT Martin being what it was a little bit disappointing. And then you have to switch gears at that point when you get into conference play. And this is something that Coach Monaghan talked about. He said, look, now we're going from the hunters to the hunted. Now we've got the biggest target on our back, because within the AAC, Memphis, especially in women's soccer, is the biggest name. They are the biggest brand. That is who everybody measures themselves against. I mean, they won, I don't know how many, they won like 3 or 4 straight AAC tournaments and went to another final last year. So like big game hunting, Memphis is the big game in the AAC. So they are going to get everybody's best shot. And so you go on the road to Charlotte, and it's nothing for a long, 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 long time. But they found a way to win. Talia Brooks, 1-0 late in the game, done and dusted. We got the win. Get out of Dodge. And now you're back at home Thursday the 18th. That's tomorrow against UAB. Then you get a week off, and you're at home. Let me rephrase this. You're at home Thursday the 18th against UAB. Next game is 1 week later, Thursday the 25th against USF. So they're still unbeaten, 7-0-1. They have moved into the top 10. They're the number 9 team in the country, number 9 in one poll, number 8 in the other poll. It's a weird. I don't know which one is which. I know in college football, the AP poll is the one that we all go by, and the coaches poll is just a thing that the SIDs do at the schools. And then the playoff committee has their ranking later in the season, and then we kind of shift into that's the one to use. I don't know, and I've heard both, and we've gone back and forth, and I don't know that there's a real consensus on whether the Top Drawer Soccer or the United Soccer College Coaches poll is is college soccer's version of the AP poll or the playoff ranking or whatever. I would just lean into whichever one has you higher. That's the one you're going to go with for that week. But I think officially they're rolling with the coaches poll. I think. Don't hold me to that. Either one, they're in the top 10 in both. They're number 8 in one, they're number 9 in the other. So either way, that's a nice place to be. Tennessee did lose a game. Kind of a bummer, because you as we discovered the last several years, Memphis is going to need their non-conference wins to hold up. Not just in terms of making the NCAA tournament, but getting a seed that they earn, that they have performed like in 2023, right? They went into the NCAA tournament with an 18-1 record, conference champs. Their only loss was on the road at a ranked Alabama team who went to the College Cup semis the year before, and they were a 6th seed. Totally asinine. And then last year, you're 13-2-4, Your only regular season loss is on the road at a 500 Tennessee team who also went to the NCAA tournament, and you didn't get in. So Tennessee needs to hold up their end of the bargain. Vanderbilt needs to hold up their end of the bargain. Those wins need to stay good. And then Memphis needs to, quite frankly, when possible, run up the score on inferior opponents. It's going to be easier said than done, as evidenced by the last 2 games. But I think if you have the chance to score 5, you need to score 5. If you have the chance to keep a clean sheet, you need to do that. And that's something they've done very well. I think I've got the schedule pulled up, but they have 3 straight clean sheets. Charlotte, UT Martin, and Tennessee. And I still wish that Iowa State game hadn't been canceled, because that's probably a game that they were going to win. And that just looks better in the win-loss column, and that's another win over an alleged power conference opponent. But they're undefeated in conference play. They are unbeaten overall, and they are in the top 10. And I don't know that you could ask for too terribly much more. I think the much more that you could have asked for was probably a bigger win over UT Martin, and the Iowa State game did not get canceled. And if that's all that you can ask for, then you're doing something right. Now they just got to stay focused the rest of the way, because if they play up to their potential, and as Coach Monaghan loves to say, potential's just a word. If they continue to play up to their potential and play as well as they can, they'll be in good shape come postseason time. But you gotta keep winning, and for right now they have. We will see what happens when they get to host UAB tomorrow night, and then USF the following Thursday. All right, so that is going to do it for me tonight. Short and sweet, just under 30 minutes. Thanks, everybody, for tuning in. I'm your host, Lawrence Dockery. You can find me on Twitter at LDoc93. You can find the 901 Soccer Podcast on Twitter at 901 Soccer Pod. You can find Bluff City Media on Twitter at BluffCity_media. And, of course, search us on Facebook, 901 Soccer, Bluff City Media. And on YouTube, please make sure to like this video. Please comment on this video and subscribe to the Bluff City Media YouTube channel. Thank you, and we will talk to you next week.